What's up, y'all? How you doing? So today I want to do a video that a lot of people has already done. Like, people do videos on Russell's top 10 moves. I got a video out there with almost 500,000 views on Russell's top 10 moves. How do you know Russell's top 10 moves? You don't, unless Russell tells you. So this video is going to be Russell's top 10 moves ever. And some of these moves may be some of the greatest moves in the history of the game. Arguably, of course. I'm a little biased, of course, but these moves are... It's crazy that as a player, I can actually come up with 10 moves. Who can come up with 10 moves? And every single move, in my opinion, is solid. So, we're going to start with number 10. I am now in Texas. Obviously, it's a lot greener. There's no water here. It's still beautiful. And I always like to pick a good spot. I'm starting to get better and better in this. We're starting to get more and more views. So I appreciate that. But we're going to get right into it and talk about the top 10 moves that I have ever made in the history of, some of them, like I said, in the history of the game. They're great moves. And we're going to start with number 10, of course. I have it written down. I had to do research myself because I sat there confused on which was, my top 3 was so hard for me to figure out which one is going to go where. Because there's emotion involved as well. So I went back to that moment and I was like, okay, how did I feel when this happened? Like I said, I am in Texas. It is super hot. I'll be sweating, wiping sweat from my face, but I want this view. So here we go. Number 10. Number 10. A lot of you are going to be like wondering about number 10, and we don't really know, because it was my first actual move in the entire game. It was voting out Marissa. Marissa was extremely strong. I knew that she had what it took to play the game. I don't like that. I did, at that time and point in my career, in my survivor career, I wasn't ready to play with someone that knew how to play. Now, I grew, and then now after that I played with Parvati. Obviously, she knows how to play. So, she made number 10, voting out Marissa. And the sad thing about all that is Marissa would have been a great player. I'm a fan of the show, so I like to see great players, and I like to see them do their thing. I like to see strong women play. I just don't like to play with them unless I'm playing directly with them in an alliance. Marissa came at me immediately. I seen what kind of player she was going to be. I didn't want to be a part of that. I didn't want to have to fight, fight for my right to take control of the game. And I knew she was going to be a problem. I got rid of Marissa. To me, it was a great move because I seen what position she could have put me in. So I went ahead and got rid of her. Marissa gone. All right. Number 9. I'm going to try to go through this as fast as I can. It's probably going to be a little lengthy because I have a lot to say with some of them. Some of them, and I'm going to be wiping my face because he's sweating, all sweating, but I don't, hopefully that doesn't bother you. Because if it doesn't bother me, it shouldn't bother you. I'm the one sitting in the heat. Number 9. Winning my last 2 challenges in season 19 and 20, the very last challenge, so you can have the shot to win $1 million. So you can actually go before the jury. That's a pretty big move. It's a pretty hefty move. If you win that last challenge, you're guaranteed a speech for that $1 million. Season 19, I won the last challenge. Season 20, I won the last challenge. You may think that, oh, he's an okay challenger. You put me up against, at the end of the game, you put me up against someone when everything's on the line. You see what happens. We seen what happens. I win. We had a guy that won 5 in a row. What was his name? Brett. It's Brett. It's not Mike Tyson. I took him out myself. I forgot about everybody else trying to do it. I had to do it myself. I did it. Bam. King Russell took care of that. All right, let's move on. Number 8. Now this is a good one. To me, it's a good one because villains. I became a villain when I made this move. Most villains in the history of any TV show, they're villains because they're mean. They're just outright mean. There's no method to their madness. There's a method to my madness. And number 8 proves it. My fake story about Hurricane Katrina, my pouring out their water canteens, my burning their socks. What does that do? I'll tell you what it does. The fake story messes with them mentally. Makes them feel sorry for me. I'm a firefighter. That's in there too. Me being a firefighter. Saying a fake I was fighting the fight. Fighting a good fight, right? So, my fake story about Katrina messes with them mentally. Pouring out their water canteens. There's a lot of levels to this. Pouring out their water canteens and burning their socks messes with them physically. Not only does it mess with them physically, that also kind of messes with them mentally because then they get upset and they start arguing. If you can remember correctly, that's exactly what happened. They started arguing. I'm sitting back watching them argue, them thinking every single bottled water seeped out, which I don't know how they thought that happened, but yeah. I thought it was an extremely good strategic move. I'll tell you when I got off that season, we all have to talk to psychiatrists before and after. The psychiatrist came up to me and said, Russell, they're going to write books about what you just did. Which, it's a little crazy because they already did write books about what I just did because I read them. And in prison camps, people were being tortured all the time. My grandfather was a prisoner of war in something called the Bataan Death March. This is where I got this statement from. He told me, I said, did they torture you? He said, they can torture you without touching you. He said, they controlled us by controlling the way we felt. Bam. Stuck in my head all my life. When I played the game, I said, you can control the way they think if you can control the way they feel. And that's what I did. And that's what happened. And season 19, I controlled the entire game from start to finish. So that's why I think that it makes number 8. I think it's a great move. All right, number 7. This is the only time I've ever voted out a close alliance. When I voted out Danielle. Now I know what's going on. People think that I didn't know what was going on. Yes, I didn't know that they found an idol, her and Parvati. But I could see it in her eyes that she's starting to be sneaky. I could see it when they go off and I walk up and they get quiet. I could see that things are changing. Now, I am your alliance when you're my alliance. When you start doing shady stuff, then all of a sudden, we're not alliances anymore. Like, I know you're coming after me sooner or later. So, and it was crazy because at Tribal Council, Danielle breaks down. Now, when Danielle broke down, she wasn't the one going home. It was Rupert that night. But she breaks down, and she's hollering at me. Hollering at me, because Russell said, because I said exactly what she told me. She was gunning for Parvati. She told me from day one. You don't see a lot of that editing, but she was. She's like, when's the right time to get rid of Parvati? She was telling me this. Now, that doesn't mean that's what she was really going to do. So now, in my mind, I have to straighten things out. She's hollering at me. Now I know I'm in trouble. Tribal Council, I know I'm in trouble. So I look at Jerry. I knew I needed one vote. I look at Jerry and I say, because they were splitting the votes between Rupert and Jerry. And if I change my vote they were splitting the votes between Rupert and Danielle. And if I change my vote and I got somebody else to change their vote, I knew that person would go home. If it wasn't Rupert, because Rupert and them was voting for Danielle. We were voting for Rupert. So I looked at Jerry. I looked at her like a boss and said, Danielle. I mouthed it. I didn't even say it out loud. She looks at me, and then I knew as soon as I said it, I knew she was voting that way. She just puts her head back. Like, dang. Almost. She even said in one of the interviews that she has never changed her vote at Tribal Council before. She trusted me so much that she went ahead and did what I said. Not that she's not a great player, not that she can't make decisions on her own, just because she trusted me enough to know that that was a good decision. And it was a good decision because she would have been in trouble too. She guns for me. I was taking care of Jerry. Jerry would have been soon after that. So I think it's a good move. I'm starting to sweat now. Thank you, Texas. Thank you, Texas. So now, we got the number 6. The Danielle move was number 7, number 6. My number 6 greatest move that I've ever made is making John Fincher change his vote after the tie. I didn't just go up to John and say, hey man, work with me, right? Work with me and then we'll go forward into this game. I did say that, but I put it like this. I tell you what, I'm going to prove to you that it's going to be a tie. Because he said you don't have numbers. I'm going to prove to you that we have numbers. So what I want you to do is vote the way you want to vote. Vote how you think you need to vote. And then when it's a tie and you see that we have numbers, because I'm right, then on the revote, you vote for Laura. And then there she is with her mouth wide open. Going home. So I convinced the rocket scientist to change his vote after the tie. Now, again, I don't think that John's a bad player. I think he got a bad shake with the group that he played with. And I think that at that point in time, it was his best move, right? I need a towel or something. I'm just about to start dripping out here. So, John, thanks for making the switch. And then we voted John out after that. Because, why would I really work with John? He's not my beginning alliance. I work with my people. He's my people now, but he wasn't my people then. So we got John at number 6. Number 5. Now, number 5, some of you may think I'm bitter with this. Because this is a move that none of you've ever heard of. You've never heard of. You always thought that she did it. Okay, Parvati plays 2 idols. Oh, some people consider that one of the greatest moves in the history of the game. Her playing 2 idols, right? One on Jerry and one on Sandra, right? Is that what you think? Well, let me tell you what really happened. Do we ever see Parvati at any time, at any point say, I'm going to play 2 idols today? No, you know what we do see her say? We see her saying, one for me, or one for my alliance, that she would save, because she's a good player, and one for me later on, that I just gave her. So, the thing is, that was the whole thing of me being deceived. Now, she's a smart player. She knows that I will find out if I was being deceived, if she obvious sudden plays 2 idols at tribal council, then now I know. Because trust me, I'm going to go back. But after all that happened, she was worried. She came straight to me and was like, Russell, it's okay. We just didn't want to tell you because of this and this and this. But in that point in my mind, I was done. I would have voted her out if I needed to. At that point in my time, because she deceived me. My alliance deceived me. So this is what happens. This is what really happens. She wants to give my idol that I gave her. We decided to give it to Sandra. That we're going to vote Sandra. Well, I sit down and I talk to Amanda right before tribal. Right before they shut us down, they make you shut down. They say shut it down. Nobody can talk. Nobody can do nothing because they get ready for tribal and they don't want us to say anything that messes up the whole show where you guys can't hear what we're saying. So they shut us down. They're really good at this kind of thing. So the public can see exactly what's happening. So I'm sitting there with Amanda, and then I said, so who y'all vote? We're friends. I was friends with James. We ran in the same circles outside the game, so it was kind of getting to know each other, and I felt like she started getting comfortable, and I said, well, who y'all voting tonight? And she says, Sandra. As soon as she told me Sandra, and we already knew that, as soon as she told me Sandra, I seen her eyes change. the way she looked at me, like I just made a mistake. I shouldn't have told him that. I seen it immediately change. Her tone of voice changed. The way she looked at me changed. Her demeanor changed. Everything changed about her. Now guess what happens after that? They shut us down. Shut down. Nobody can talk. So I'm watching her like a hawk from then on out. Because I know now she's trying to change the vote. Because we're giving that idol, the idol I gave to Parvati, right? We're giving it to Sandra. See, I'm even saving Sandra with idols. That was the plan, giving it to Sandra. So they lining us up to march out. When you see us marching out with the torch. And I can see, I'm watching Amanda. It was 45 minutes I kept my eyes on her, and I made sure she wasn't watching me, watching her. I kept my eyes on her because I knew she was about to change the vote. So I seen her look at someone, and she said, Jerry. I seen her mouth say, Jerry. So when I seen that, then I seen her talk to somebody with her back. Then I seen her talk to somebody else with her back. I couldn't see nothing else. I knew she was in control. Believe that. Amanda's a wonderful player. She changed the vote herself right there to Jerry. Without the production seeing, without anybody seeing. Production thought it was going to be Sandra. I knew it was going to be Jerry. So I go up to Parvati and I say, Parvati, it's going to be Jerry. And she was like, shh, Russell, stop. Because we got to be quiet, right? It's $1 million on the line. I got to get it out there. It's going to be Jerry. It's going to be Jerry. I keep looking at her. Jerry. So finally, when they're micing us up, getting us ready to go in there at Tribal, I asked the producers, can I stop her when if she gives an idol to Sandra, before she gives it to her, can I stop her right there and talk to her and say, give it after the votes, give it to Jerry, because she didn't think it was going to be Jerry. She thought it would be Sandra. Now she's sitting back and I'm sitting looking at her, quiet, and looking at her and shaking my head to her, mouthing Jerry as much as I can. So what does she do? She's so confused and she does not know what to do, so she gives them both. Even though she said, I'm saving one for me and saving one for my alliance. I confused her so much, she gives them the vote. Both. She gives them one to who she thinks it's going to be, Sandra. And she gives one to who I told her it's going to be, Jerry, without the cameras rolling. Who did they vote for? Jerry. Okay. Now I'm in a different environment because it was so hot, my phone shut off. Just shut it down because the phone got too hot. That's how hot it was out there. So now my background is a TV. So that's not as beautiful as my previous backgrounds, but this is how we're going to finish this. So what I'm saying is Parvati, yes, she had what it took to play the two idols, but it wasn't her ultimate move. The reason she made that move is because she was convinced with me telling her all this that she was like, well, maybe he's right. So she made the move. Now just think if she would have went to Sandra and then I would have stood up and said no, because that's what I was going to do. And I would have said, give it to Jerry. And she would have said, no, I'm giving it to Sandra. Then all of a sudden, Jerry goes home. That would have made me look pretty good, right? So that was one incident. And when they say, oh, Parvati deserved to win. Some people say Parvati deserved to win. I'm not saying she was not a great player, but I still deserve to win that season. Because the moves she was making were moves that I was convincing her to make. And they have another one that's coming up. Same thing. She was confused, didn't know what to do, and didn't know what just happened, that type of situation. But let's go ahead and move on. We're at number 4. Now, number 1, 2, 3, and 4 may be some of the greatest moves in the history of the game. Like I said, I'm a little biased I watched the videos of some of the greatest moves, and these moves are usually on that list. But these are my top moves. Number 4 is convincing JT it was an all-girl alliance. Now everybody's like, oh, that was just a dumb move by JT. No, what happened was I convinced JT that it was going to be an all-girl alliance. I looked at him all the time. Jeff said, oh, what's going over there at one challenge? And the heroes were like, oh, we know what's going on over there, Jeff. And I just sit there, Jeff, I'm just living one day at a time, man. Just living one day, even though I was in full control of everything. I wanted them to think it was an all-girl alliance. So when we get to the merge, then it's a bunch of girls, and they want to get rid of one of them instead of me, and then we could sneak them because we knew we would merge 5 to 5. So by me doing that, there's also a pretty cool story that happened with that. My strategic move was to tell them that I had an idol. I was going to tell their team that I had an idol. I'm going to save myself. We'll probably merge at 5. Then I'll work with you guys. And of course, I was going to stay with my own alliance. But that was my strategic move. So after it all happened, I didn't get a chance to say I have an idol. Because at the challenge, Kobe looks at me and says, go to JT. Go to JT. He's got something for you. He's going to give you an idol. So I was like, well, I ain't got to tell them. If I would have told them that I had an idol, JT would have never gave me that idol. So after all that happened, production came up to me and said, Russell, we wasn't sure if you were going to say that you had an idol or if JT was going to give you his idol, because they knew both sides of the story. They knew both what was going on. So when Kobe told me that on the stand, it was like, it was one of the greatest moves. Like I said, these are my top 4, but that one's made number 4. It could have easily made number 1, because when he said that, it was like I looked on the distance. It was silentness, because he told me as soon as one person left in that challenge. So we sat there and he talked to me, and I sat there for took him about 10 minutes to get to the end. And I'm sitting there and rain's coming on the horizon, and I'm looking there and I'm looking at all production. I look at the guy that I'm good with in production, that's like you become buddies out there, and I look at him and I just shake my head. And he just has a big old smile on his face because he knows what's about to go down. And the scenery was beautiful. It was peaceful. I heard what was just about to happen. It was a magical moment, literally a magical moment for me. So when we get there, obviously JT gives me the idol. Great move. Now you can say it one of the dumbest moves in JT's perspective, but when you really look at it, if JT really thought it was an all-girl alliance, then it was a great move. It would have been a great move. It's almost like love and hate. There's a fine line between the two. Same thing with Survivor. Being a great survivor, being a bad survivor. There's a fine line between that. You could be great. If that move would have worked for JT, it would have been one of the greatest moves in the history of the game. But because it didn't, it became one of the worst moves in the history of the game. So I used to blame JT. I don't blame JT no more. I thought it was a brilliant move. I thought he was on the right path. JT, he's kind of declined as Survivor went, but he's a good player. He used to be a good player, and I think if he got his life straight, that he could be a good player again. So that's my number 4. Number 3. Number 3 was number 1. Then it went back to number 2. Then back to number 3. Same thing with number 1, same thing with number 2. These 3, and I know number 4 was in there, but these 3 went back and forth. I was convicted. I put number one for a certain reason, but number 2 and 3 could easily be number 1. Number 3, Tyson. When I convinced Tyson to change his vote without telling him to change his vote. That was my plan. That's what I was trying to do, and it worked. Now, Tyson is an amazing player. Tyson isn't just run-by-the-mill type Survivor player that come and go. Tyson's a good player. Tyson's a poker player. I had on my poker face. Tyson had on his poker face. I had 2s. He had aces, and I bluffed him. And I bluffed him without even looking at my cards, actually. I didn't have twos. I didn't even look at them. Because the move, think how deep this goes. Like I said, Tyson is not a bad player. So I had to convince him. I knew if I went to him and said, hey, man, you need to switch your vote. You need to, if I convinced him that way, I knew that wouldn't work. But I knew if I went to him and said, I'm switching my vote. I'm doing it. Can't do it no more. Can't play with her. Can't do it. She's bringing me down. I got to get rid of her. It breaks my heart. But I got to do it. So when we went, this is when I knew, you know, all these moves were stressful, to say the least, because I'm making all these moves and I don't know for sure if they're going to work. So I'm about to either go home or have one of the greatest moves in history. Now, it worked for me, and this was season 2 of me playing, my second time playing. Heroes versus villains, some of the greatest to ever play. 10 of them are legends. Easy, maybe more. And you can watch me, and I'm going to put it right after this. I don't know if I'll be able to put the clip, but I'll put pictures. I was so exhausted when that move worked. I shake my head and just throw my head down. Because I was so drained at this point in time in the game. You know, I just played season 19, Samoa. All this crazy stuff happened. I'm right back out there trying to make crazy moves. This is early in the game. It's working for me. And it's just, I'm just out. People say, oh, he's a bad player because he jumps and hollers when people go home. Well, watch this. So, you know, of course, I was excited that it worked. I liked Tyson as a person. I could have played with Tyson. That was the move. You know why it really worked? Because Rob made a bad mistake and told Tyson. And I found out this while I was watching. That Tyson, they're probably going to vote for you. Why are you going to tell him that? You shouldn't have told him that, because immediately you made him paranoid. When someone's paranoid, they'll do anything they can. Oh, they're going to vote for me. What if somebody here votes for me too? Then that's bad. So when the worst thing was when Rob told Tyson they're probably going to vote for you. So it made him paranoid. Then I said, come see Tyson. Gave him my spiel. My spiel didn't last 5 minutes. So I went off of a spiel that lasts 5 minutes. Went off. That's when you see me talking to Parvati. I'm going to give you the idol. That's another thing. It comes with another one that has so many layers to it. Not only I'm going to do that, I'm going to give my idol to Parvati to save my alliance. Without me saving my alliance, my people, I don't care if her name is Parvati. I don't care if her name is Shambo. I don't care if her name is Joe, Bob, Tom. Doesn't matter to me. If it's in my alliance, I will give you my alliance. My idol. Not because it was Parvati, and not because she swooed me to give it. It's because it's how I play. So, and I can't go with, I could have never made it by myself. And I needed her, and she's a good player, so it helps me. So it worked. The Tyson move worked. Amazing move when I think about it now. It's just crazy. Crazy that it actually worked. Tyson is now rumored to be playing the winter season. I'm hopefully he does really well, because if he does do really well, if he even wins, that would be a 2-time winner. It would show you how really good he is. And how really decent that move really is. So number 2. Get to number 2. The most exciting move I've ever made. The most exciting I've ever been. It was like me being in the World Series at the bottom of the 9th and me slamming out a grand slam with 2 outs, 2 strikes, and down by 3 points. When I found the second idol without a clue, And I played that idol when they had no clue that I played it. I had 8 votes against me, and we had 4 against Kelly, and Kelly goes home. It was I put it number 2 because of how I felt at that time. It was the greatest moment. We got low camera here. It was the greatest moment to me ever, any season, any time. It was the greatest feeling. So I'm going to easily put Kelly, the second idol I found without a clue, on Kelly. And I think another thing to that puzzle is Kelly was the glue. She was the glue that kept everything together, and I knew that. Her and Laura were like this, and I knew if I split her and Laura away, I knew that everything else would go haywire. Those 2 girls controlled everything. And I knew if I got rid of one, you cut the head off of the dragon, then you're good. Kelly was way more powerful than people think. So I think not only was it a great move, using the idol and that I found without a clue on anyone. I could have got rid of anyone that day, except for Laura. She had the immunity. It was the right pick. She was the right pick for me to choose to get rid of. I wouldn't have never did it any different. It was a perfect pick, and it's easy to see it now. So number 1, this is what we all been waiting for, behind a beautiful screen TV. I think it's a Sony. I didn't get sponsored by them. Maybe I shouldn't even said their names. But number 1, best move in the history of the game is Russell Hantz finding an idol for the very first time in the history of the game without a clue. The reason that's number 1 is because it not only was it a great move for me, it changed Survivor. It changed the way people play the game forever. It changed the way people viewed the game forever. It's weird that I'm saying this because in production they say, what is going to make you different than others? I said, I'm going to change the way people play the game. I'm going to change the way people view the game forever. And they said, everybody tells us that. I'm saying, watch, you're going to see. I'm going to change everything about the game. And with me finding that idol without a clue, I think it changed the game. Now we see it every day. Now it's natural. Now it's just like, oh, you found an idol without a clue. Okay. Now it's almost boring. So if I ever play again, I'm going to come up with something else. And I already had it right here. I had a dream, and this ain't a joke. I had a dream of the next move I'm going to make if I play this game again. I had a dream, and it is the biggest move in the history of the game. It will be a move that I told Spencer about it. He's like, what was the dream? What was the dream? I'm like, I ain't telling nobody the dream. I had a dream. I'm not making fun of nobody, but I had a dream. And I think that it's going to be one of the biggest moves in the history of the game if I play again. Number 1, finding idols. Can't debate that. I don't think it's even debatable because of how big that has become now. So that is my top 10 greatest moves that I have ever made. I appreciate you guys watching. I know I keep saying this, but it is overwhelming. We've had 5,500 subscribers in the last 23 days. I've already have 1.1 million watch minutes, watch minute time, and I think it's doing great. Y'all, please subscribe. I'm about to do a video. I just did a video with my mom cooking crawfish etouffee. We're going to start putting foods so you can learn how to cook. If you're not interested in learning how to cook Cajun foods or anything like that, just support me. Just click on it. Maybe click like or whatever like that. It's important to me because it's important to my mom. She's excited about it. She's in here, so I didn't want to talk too loud. But she's excited about, doing cooking things. I said, Mom, if it works, we'll keep doing it. So that's the next video I'm going to post. So please check it out. It means more to me than you watch any one of my videos, than you watch the videos with my mom, my kids, because that's the loves of my life. It is about family, and when I can put a smile on my family's face, my mom's getting older, so I wanna make sure that everything's fun. So I'm trying to make it fun. So please, you guys, check out her video when I post it. I'm gonna post it in the next day or so. And it's fun and it's good food, amazing. So you might learn how to cook for your spouse, cook for your husband. Your wife. You can, hey, husbands, cook for your wife. I only have 22% women, so you guys need to start cooking. That's all I'm saying. That's it, guys. Hope I like this. I have a feeling this is my best one so far. I hope you enjoyed. And sorry I had to get out the sun, but my phone overheated. And subscribe, like, comment. Keep telling me what you like. Keep telling me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did wrong. I want to hear that. I want to hear what I did wrong so I can fix it. And that's it. Keep hope alive.